So this is the about the network management and security. So this is very much important to not only understand the different layers of the OSI model and only the TCP/IP protocols. We need to also take care of how the network is managed and what are the things that are available in the network management, and also how it provides the security for the users and also for the network administrator to set up the networks in a proper place, and how to avoid the congestion or network traffic issues. So all these things will be involved in the network management. So the network management is a process of monitoring, testing, configuration and troubleshooting network components to meet a set of requirements defined by an organization. So basically in the network management, it's a process where we monitor the subsystems or the hardware devices and also the softwares that are installed and how they are configured, and if there is any problem or if there is any trouble, how we can solve or how we can overcome with this particular problem, and that can be checked and that can be resolved. So for, I mean, these will provide a proper guidelines for the users or for the organization to handle the system properly. So for that, it is very much important to understand the network management system. So the network management system can be divided into five broad categories. First one can be configuration management, fault management, performance management, security management, and accounting management. So when we say this, all the configurations, basically the network is made up of a large collection of computers, and also it consists of varieties of devices. Okay, the devices can be hardware devices or also the softwares that are required, like we have studied in the routing algorithm. So many hardwares and software are required in a network, and the network can be a combination. It can be a local area network or it can be a wide area network. And in this, we need to know how these computers are connected. They can be connected physically, I mean, within the same local area network, or they can be connected logically. That means two computers or two devices or two stations can be placed or can be present in different areas or in the different location. So how these are connected and how these are managed, that we need to discuss. So these are categorized into five broader categories. So we'll study one by one. First one is the configuration management. So this is the hierarchy of network management system. We can have configuration management. Under that, we have two subcategories: reconfiguration, documentation, and then we have is the fault management, reactive and proactive, and performance management, that is capacity, traffic, throughput, and response time. And the other two are the security management and accounting management. So let us take up with the first one, that is the configuration management. So what is basically configuration? Like as we discussed, computer is, I mean, the network is made up of a large collection of computers, and these computers are can be connected, I mean, can be present in local area network or within one organization, or they can be connected in different areas as well. So for that, we need to know about how they are connected. I mean, initially all these computers are configured with some basic entities. Like when I want to set up a network, we'll be having basic configuration. Like I should have I mean, I should have local area network. I should have two routers. I should have some 4 to 5 switches, hubs, and so on. This is the basic um, configuration is already been set up. And as and when there is a change in the system, or if the number of users increase, or if the network traffic increase, we need to reconfigure it. So for this, there is a specialized person or the technician is required to manage these things. So reconfiguration can be hardware reconfiguration, software, or user account configuration. For example, when we take up the hardware configuration, reconfiguration, a computer may be replaced or router may be moved from one network to the another network. So if the network capability, I mean, if number of users are changed, I mean, they are increased, or if there is any problem with the computer has to be replaced. Or if there is more congestion on the router may be replaced, or we can or if the network is changed from local area network to wide area network, the router may be I mean, shifted from one particular network to the another part of the network. And next we have is the software reconfiguration. In case of software reconfiguration, new software may need to be installed on servers or the clients. So there will be new, latest softwares that will be available. Initially, it will be set up with the basic softwares, but apart from that, some software that needs to be installed on the server side as well as the client side. And next, when it comes to the user account configuration, it is all related to user privileges and file permissions. Like we have some file permissions, say uh, read, write, and execute. So some permissions are given for the first level user and some permission for given as the higher level users. So how these file permissions are managed? For example, if the file is public, so we can give all the read, write, execute, all the permissions. But if a file is very confidential, suppose say it is related to your accounting information, or if it is related to some bank account, then it should be very private and only read operation should be given. So these are the reconfiguration with respect to the uh, accounting configuration. And also we have user privileges. That means if you're using any particular software, who is going to be admin or who are the users for it, and so on. Those all configuration, we can call it as, these all things will come under the concept of account configuration. So this is with respect to the reconfiguration. So the next type in the configuration management is the documentation. As we know, documentation is a very important key role in the network management, because when there is a change in the network, or if the number of users are increased, we are going to change the map. Or suppose say there are 100 computers in the college, and if number of students increase, we are going to increase the number of systems, and also we are going to increase not only computer system, we are going to increase the routers, we are going to increase the switches and hubs, and so on. For this, proper documentation is very much essential. Like original network configuration and subsequent change must be recorded. So in detail, we should maintain a document where we can have what was the original configuration of a particular device or particular system, and what must be the change. And for this, again, we have two subcategories. It can be hardware documentation or it can be a software documentation. In hardware documentation, we can take up the example of a map in the sense, suppose say there are 50 computers, and they are placed in different departments in a college. So for some computers are in the BCA department, some computers are there in the BBA department, and so on. And also we need to know their hardware type, what is the hardware configuration, what is the RAM capacity of it, what is the hard disk capacity, what is the serial number, what is the warranty date, and when it will expire, and so on. All these all this information should be documented in a proper file. And why it is required? Because see, suppose the map in the sense, how the computers are connected, the architecture of these, which computer is connected to which computer, and which is the main switch, which is the router, which is the hub. All this can be drawn in a diagram, on a paper, and that can be maintained as a document. So that is with respect to the hardware documentation. Next we have is the software documentation. So in the software documentation, we need to make a detailed information. We need to collect the detailed information about the software type that you are using, what is the version, and it's a license agreement. Okay, if the software is, say for example, if the software is say shared between one particular organization with the another organization, so for how much period we can use that particular software, all this information we need to take care of, and that should be also documented. So this is with respect to the configuration management. The next important category is the fault management. So fault management can be in two types. One is the reactive fault management and proactive fault management. Like reactive, as the name suggests. So in case of this, even after reconfiguration is done, so for example, if there is any congestion or if the network traffic is increased, we will use more suitable routers, or will change the configuration of the system, so that even there is more traffic, that can be handled by the routers or the systems. But even after doing that, there can be error, or there can be network failure, and so on. Many other things will happen. So for that, it is responsible for detecting, isolating, and correcting, and recording the faults. So even after taking all the precautions, if the error occurs, so how it should be found out? We need to detect it first, and then we need to debug it, whether there is a problem with the LAN cable, or it is a problem of system, or whether there is any problem with the internet service providers. So the problem can be from any side, so we need to detect the error, and that also we need to document it. Because for example, if the LAN cable, okay, if it is there is a problem with the LAN cable, we need to change it, or we need to give it for a repair. Or if there is a problem with the router, okay, so all these devices will be having a expiry date. So if you try to use it more than the expiry date, so we may get same errors repeatedly. So that time we need to give it for repair, and we can change it. Now is the proactive fault management. In case of proactive management, try to prevent faults from occurring. It is like taking a precaution. We always say precaution is better than cure. So we try to avoid the errors or the network traffic before they actually affect our system, or they affect our software, or they affect our communication. So in case of proactive fault management, it is very difficult to achieve, because we don't know when there is will be a huge traffic. In for example, when the results are announced, okay, the moment the results are announced, it is a peak time, we can say. So the more number of students will try to view the result. So because of that, the load will be more on the network. So how we can handle such situations? So for that, we should take some precautions. So that will come under the proactive fault management. Okay, and for it is very difficult to achieve, but still the devices come with a validity date. Like a LAN cable will have a validity date, or a system will have a validity date. So if you are trying to use more than its capacity, it will surely give a error. So we need to keep on checking when is the last date for this, expiry date for the LAN cable, or when is the expiry date for a router, or any other devices that we are using. So, or even it can be for a software as well. For example, if you take a antivirus software, so after 6 months or after 1 year it will expire. So the moment we reach at the expiry date, we need to update it, or we need to change it. So this will come under the proactive fault management. Then we have is the performance management. So performance management, it is closely related to the fault management itself, but it tries to monitor and control the network and quantify performance by using some measurable quantities like capacity, traffic, throughput, and response time. So as it is with the capacity, so in case of capacity, like we can take an example of a one factor that must be monitored by performance management system is the capacity of the network. Every network has a limited capacity, and the performance, okay, so every computer will have a limited capacity, and the performance management system must ensure that it is not used, okay, beyond the capacity of the network. For example, let us say there are 100 computers are there, and the data transfer rate for this 100 computers is 2 mbps. Okay, and if you try to use 200 computers with the same data rate of 2 mbps, it will not work properly. I mean, it will give errors, or the performance will surely reduce. So we should take care of that. Next is the traffic. So the traffic can be a internal traffic, or it can be a external traffic. Internal traffic, for example, it can be within the local area network or within the organization. Okay, how many bytes of information is being transferred, or how many packets have been sent and received. That is with related to the internal traffic. And external traffic is from one network to the another network, or from one station, say from Belgaum to Hubli, or so if Belgaum to Pune. So how these are matched. So that is with respect to the traffic. During peak hours when the system is heavily used, okay, like I gave the example of exam results, blocking may occur if there is any excessive traffic. So if more number of students are trying to use at the same time, if the network is not able to handle, then surely automatically it will give the bad results, or the error will continue. Then we have is the throughput. We can measure the throughput of individual devices separately. Like we can measure the throughput of a router, of a switch, or a hub, and so on, as a part of the network. Performance management monitors the throughput to make sure that it is not reduced. Okay, so even if more number of users are using, the router should not give ineffective results. So it should give a proper results itself. I mean, it's the throughput, whatever is going to give. So the same result it should display, that is with respect to the throughput. I mean, for example, a router is able to send 50 packets at a time or in 1 second. So even if more number of packets are being sent to the router, it should not reduce the number of packets that can be forwarded from that particular router. So the throughput should remain constant. Next we have is the response time. As we know, the response time, it is normally measured from the time a user has requested to any particular information for a server, and the moment, I mean the time duration from where a request has been sent and when the response has been received. So the time between first request and the first reply or the first response, that we can call it as the response time. The performance management monitors the average response time and the peak hour response time. So it will calculate what is the average response time of a particular network or a particular device, and what is the response time when it is in the peak hours, okay, when the load is more. So it should not, there should not be much difference between the average response time and the response time during the peak hours. So this is with related to the performance management. And next we have is the important thing, that is the security management. So it is responsible for controlling access to the network, okay, based on the predefined policies. So security can be with related to user security, or it ensures that network is not affected by malicious users and secure from the hackers. So this will take care of an unauthenticated person or a third party member should not use any of the software or any of the hardwares in the network. So for that, security management will take place. So for we are going to discuss this security management in detail in the coming classes, but this is sufficient for the security management. And then the last one that we have is the accounting management. So accounting management is the control of users access to network source through charges. So whenever you want to access some information from the network, so you need to the internet service providers will put some charges. The data pack that we take for 2 GB, the cost is different. For 4 GB, the cost is different, and so on. So the individual users and departments and divisions or even projects are charged for the services. So whatever information that you are accessing, for that you will be charged, okay, for the services they receive from the network. The charging is not only with respect to the management. I mean, it is not only with respect to the cash transfer. It may mean debiting the departments or division for budgeting purpose as well. For example, if you are taking a online banking facility, so you need to pay some charges for taking that facility, and also you need to give some service charges. For example, if you are using message service facility, for that yearly they will deduct 100 rupees or 200 rupees, okay. So you need to pay that annual income as well, I mean annual fees as well for the internet service providers. For this all to handle, these days the organizations are using the accounting information system. So to maintain all this, how many users are using our software and how many departments are using our software and what is the time period, for that to maintain all these things, it is very difficult tasks. For that they use the management information system, or like example of a tally software they can use, and they can record all the customers who are using the particular software, and what is their expiry date and all that, can they can keep it, and also they can handle their transaction details can be maintained in the software. So it has got few advantages. The accounting management prevents users from monopolizing limited network resources. So not only one particular, I mean the resources that are available on the internet, it is not only for one particular person or for only one particular organization. So it has to be distributed for all the interested parties. Whoever is interested, they can use the resources. Prevents user from using the system inefficiently. So this is the one more advantage that we have. So that means users from using the system inefficiently, so they can utilize the system properly because it is distributed to everyone. So you can, once you purchase or once you invest some amount for one particular software, you can use entire system. Okay. And then network managers can do short and long term planning. So the network managers or the network administrators, they should have some proper goals like short term and long term planning based on the demand for the network use. So for example, for Google if you take, or Facebook if you take, they will have short term and long term goals or planning. So if there is any new update that is available, so most of the people wants to update that particular software in your device. Okay. And also they should have a long term goal. So based on this, the network architecture and all these will change. So this is with respect to the different management system that we can have, functions of network management system. So these are the 5 broad categories that we have in the network management. So then going ahead with the next concept, that is the simple network management protocol. So with respect, I mean, in support of TCP/IP protocol, we have one more important protocol, that is the simple network management protocol, SNMP, is a framework for managing devices in the internet using the TCP/IP protocol suite. It provides a set of fundamental operations for monitoring and maintaining an internet. So this system will give a detailed information, or this protocol will help us to know what are the devices that are present in a network and how these devices are managed and how these devices are communicating with one device with another device. For example, a station with a agent, okay, or a host with another host, how these devices are managed and how they can communicate, so that we can have a smooth and a good quality of connectivity from one device to the another device. So for this we need to study the concept of this simple network management protocol. So this is the concept of this. So basically in this, it uses the concept of manager and agent. Okay. So this SNMP protocol uses the concept of manager and agent, where manager, we can take an example of manager will be always a host, or we can say number of managers, okay, or number of hosts will be there. For our reference, we have considered only one host. And in the another side, or in the server side, or in the another side, we can say there are agents that are present. Okay. Agents can be usually routers. So a manager can be considered as a host and agent can be considered as the routers. How this host and routers manage the smooth delivery of connectivity and smooth performance of the system, that we need to discuss now. So basically SNMP is an application level protocol. So it runs on the application level, where a few manager stations control a set of agents. So these manager agents will control the working of these routers, because we have seen that manager is nothing but a host and agents are nothing but the routers. So few set of manager or one set of manager will control the working of routers. Uh, this can be in the it can be used in a heterogeneous internet made of different LANs and WANs. So this SNMP can be concept can be used in the local area networks and the wide area networks as well, conducted by routers made by different manufacturers. And then we are going to discuss in detail about the working of this SNMP protocol. So this manager SNMP, in the SNMP concept, the manager or the host that runs a SNMP client program. So as we say, it is a host, it will run a client program. And in the same way, the agent is nothing but your router, which will run the SNMP server program. So there are two programs that are running. Manager is responsible for, the host is responsible for running the client program, and the agent called as the router is responsible for running the server program. So this management is achieved through simple interaction between the manager and agent. So how these are managed? So the manager and agents can send few signals, or say few common communication, I mean, few common messages, so that by sending a message and getting back a reply, they can communicate and they can achieve the management of these SNMP. So the agent keeps performance information in the database. So this agent, as we have seen here, variables. So agent will be having its own database where it will be maintaining few information. Like for example, we take the router as a agent. So when we say a router, we have discussed in the earlier routing algorithms as well. So the router will have the number of packets that is being received and how many number of packets are already been sent from that particular router to the next router or to the next device that is present in the network. So it maintains a database where it consists of how many packets have it has received and how many outgoing packets it has, and how many packets are available in the buffer. All this information will be present in the routing tables, or we can say the database tables. uh, Now the manager can fetch and compare. So the manager has the facility to fetch the information from this database. So that means the manager can know how many packets are present in this, how many packets, the number of packets are available in this database, I mean in this router, and how many packets are already been sent from this particular device to the next device. All this information can be fetched by the manager by using simple query techniques. Okay. The manager can fetch and compare the values of these two variables to see if the router is congested or no. So why this manager will check the number of packets? Because the manager wants to know, is there any congestion? So for example, if suppose a router has the capacity to accommodate only 20 packets. So if the more number of packets have been, we have already seen about the flooding. So if more number of packets are being sent to this particular router, there can be a congestion. Okay, there can be a possibility of a congestion. So to avoid these things, so the manager will keep on checking the number of packets that are present in the database, so that uh, there should not be any congestion. So the manager is also responsible uh, for perform a certain action. So router performs certain actions. If a router periodically checks the value of a reboot counter, so the agent, I mean the router is responsible for continuously checking the counting. Okay, the counter, the reboot counter. So if the reboot counter becomes 0, it can reboot itself. Okay, so that it can work efficiently. So the manager will check this counter, and it can also set the value of this counter to 0, so that the router can reboot itself. And also this is from the manager point of view to the agent. So manager can control the working of this agent, and it can send the signals, or it can fetch the information like the number of packets that are present in this routing table, or in a more broader way, it maintains a database tables. Similarly, agent can also interact with the manager by using some warning messages. Okay, the server program running on the agent can check the environment, and if it notices something unusual, so the agent will also keep on checking if something unusual things that happen, then it can send a agent can send a warning message to the manager or to the host, or it can send a trap. Trap can be, for example, it a warning message that something unusual is happening in the router, and I'm not able to identify what is the actual thing. So please take care of the packet that you are, I mean, the packets that are arriving, so that we can avoid the congestion. So this is with respect to the uh, agent. So in a nutshell, if you want to see now, so this is with respect to the configuration management and fault management. Then we have is this SNMP. So it can do, in other words, management with SNMP is based on three basic ideas. A manager checks an agent by requesting information that reflects the behavior of the agent. So manager can keep on checking the database of the agent by requesting information that reflects the behavior of the agent, so that it can check whether the router is congested or no, so that it can check its functionality, and whether the agent is working properly or no. All those information can be checked. And then A manager forces an agent to perform a task by resetting values in the agent database, like the counter. Okay, so it can reset the counter value so that it can perform better. And also the agent can also contributes in the management process by warning the manager of an unusual situation. Uh, like we have discussed just now, a trap message can be sent from the agent to the host, or we can say the manager, and it can give a warning message that I'm having some problem or unusual thing is happening inside my router, so please take care of it. So by using these three basic steps, these three are the basic idea behind the working of the SNMP. So this is with respect to the network management. So we have discussed the five broader categories, and then we have focused on the working the concept of the SNMP. So that's all for the today's session.